Hey everybody, Wendy Clinky here from Blue Cat Studio. I teach women and men how to paint. And today, since we literally just on the phones got the code red text, which means school's canceled, we're going to do a little snow day painting. I'm expecting we're going to get a lot of inches, a lot of ice. And so what happens in the wintertime? Cardinals, birds, snow, birches, all the good things. So before we go through the painting part, I'm going to teach you how to trace. So bear with me. I'm also experimenting with a new program. So hopefully we get this all figured out. Let me make the other one dominant. So here I'm going to start with a blank canvas. So I'm going to show you how to actually trace a design and transfer it. So I start with a piece of graphite paper. Obviously this one's well loved. I place the graphite face down on my canvas panel. And then I have a design, which actually I sketched out real small and then blew up because I do all my sketches little. Just kind of how I work. So kind of overlay it. I've even got a little black outline, which tells me where things are. And then I have a stylus. Yeah, you can see that. And then I have a stylus. Now this is a metal one, but you could just as easily use a ballpoint pen. You could put the lid on and just trace with kind of a blunt edge, anything like that. You could use the tail. Whoopsies. You could use, we need one of these that doesn't have, okay. You could use the tail of a paintbrush even to kind of do the tracing. In fact, maybe we'll do that just for fun. So now that I've got the stuff under there, I'm going to just kind of, oh, that sounds going to drive you nuts. Start to just kind of go over those lines. And what we're doing here is really just kind of ensuring that I have the rough sense of where stuff is. I'm not going to worry about getting all the details, just kind of enough so that I don't have to freehand this guy and mess up on air. So this is also very much the process that I go through when I am preparing art kits for you guys. I'll do a design and then we'll get it all traced. All right. So just kind of getting rough lines for the tree, some branches. And so if you ever do a sketch that you think, oh man, that's a really good sketch, I like it, and it's really tiny, but I want to make it bigger, you can scan it in, blow it up, and transfer it like this and paint it. Just get this part kind of done, some branches. Now there's a lot of details in the sketch, which I'm not going to bother to include in the tracing. That's just too much. But the idea is we're going to have this cool looking, what am I trying to say? It's been a long day. All right, so there it is. Kind of hard to tell where the trees are and where the trees aren't, but that's fine. No big deal. So we started with a tracer, the graphite paper that transferred it, and now I have a workable design. So if nothing else, I hope that right there was useful. Now to plan out the color scheme on this, I'm going to do a red bird. The trees are going to be kind of a gray off-white color with white highlights. And then I'll do the background kind of a pale blue. So I saw a tub of turquoise floating around here somewhere. Where'd I put it? Come on, girl, now. Oh, there it is. Grab some turquoise and some white. Squeeze it onto my palette. I want to say I'm using Pool Blue. I don't remember if it's Craft Smart or Deco Art or what. Doesn't really matter. You don't even have to use the same tone blue. You could use something much cooler. I'm going to go with some of this turquoisey color because it's right here on my desk, and if I don't use it, it's going to go bad. So let's have fun. Okay. And then grabbing a paintbrush. I'm semi-prepared here, right? So we'll start with a square brush, right? It's just kind of flat. It's very similar to the ones that come in the art kits. This one's been well loved. Grab a lump of blue. Oh, I have junk in my. So pull some blue over here. Gonna grab a big hunk of white and start mixing. In fact, I'm gonna need to make a good chunk of that. Oh, that's a good color. Sure. That works, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm so gonna like color inside the trees if I'm not careful. So I'm gonna make some lines here. So tree, tree, tree. Okay. So right now, this is just reference, so I don't screw up. Because, you know, it'll make it easier for me not to have to try and backpedal. Okay, so now you have a sense of where the blue is going to go. So we'll go ahead and just get that basically filled in. A little bit streaky at times, no big deal. All right, fill it in. Okay, now let me see if I can change this around because I don't. Oh, here we go, comments. That way maybe I can see what's going on. So if you're wanting to comment on this, you do need to kind of click on the StreamYard thing and accept it. Hopefully there's a button. I don't really know. I'm still learning. So if for some reason you're wanting to comment on this and wanting me to see it and it's not happening, let me know and I'll try and figure out the details of that after we're done going live here. Again, this is new technology to me, but I was hoping that, you know, maybe we could focus in on the art, but you can also see my face. And maybe that'll be a little bit easier. So just getting that blue coverage in here, going around the trees. I'm hoping we can whip this out fairly quickly and it gives you a little inspiration for your Thursday snow day or whatever day you happen to be catching this. But there's storms going all across the US. I know tons of people in Texas. I'm hearing from friends, relatives, Facebook contacts, etc., that they're having major power issues. People are worried about their elderly parents. And now here in Northern Virginia, snow's coming. Of course, I've got school tomorrow. Online school based in Monterey. So I got class. That'll be fun though. Well, that will be fun. Here we go. That's the one funny thing about the whole COVID is, you know, places that wouldn't telework before, snow days are starting to become a thing of the past because well, you just make you telework. I'll take moseying over to the coffee machine in my PJs and working any day. I'd give up my snow days for that. I don't know about the rest of you, but as much as there are some downsides to teleworking, I absolutely love having cats as coworkers. Even when they scratch my nice chair. Right, kitty? Uh-huh. They're just getting that hair everywhere. Isn't that fun? Getting that blue all in here. Just filling it in, not worrying too much about the perfection of the lines because I'm going to come over with the tree color after. And I think this is a fairly, you know, straightforward design in terms of color scheme. Not too many colors required. You know, we can kind of feel successful and feel like we've done a cool thing. All right. The last one done. Oh, got all the paint up on the ferrule. Whoops. Hi, Mary. How are you? Thank you for joining. This is my first time doing a StreamYard and trying to broadcast like this. So I'm excited that you've been able to come in and say hi and I can see your comments. We're doing the snow day. Oops, I missed a spot right here. So hopefully everybody has their bread and their milk and their toilet paper and all the things. Oh yeah, Mary, I did mix it. So I took I think it's like a pool blue color, a turquoise, might be Craft Smart. It's looking a little bit more intense on camera than it is in person. And then white, and I just kind of mixed a light blue. And it doesn't have to be turquoise. Any old light blue will do. I'm trying to keep it fairly simple with just sort of what I have on hand in front of me. Oh, where's my prospectus? Here we go. Oh, let me go ahead and offload the paint as much as possible from my brush before rinsing it. That just keeps my rinse water a little less gross, or a little bit nicer, a little bit longer, whichever you want to say it. Hey, Anne. So, Anne, you are my inspiration. I will never, ever, ever forget taking art with you in high school and just being completely floored by your work. To this day, you get all the credit for me learning how to do shadows in anything other than black. I think you were the real teacher, not Mrs. Sparks. Okay, so from here, we're then going to get the trees. So I still have a big hunk of white on my palette, and this is just a takeout lid from Chinese because that's what I had. So grabbing a small amount of black, placing it on the palette. That's probably too much. That's fine. Just big old hunk of white. Put it over here. Mixing a gray. Yeah. So it's funny, even one dollop of black was too much. Offloaded it there and then just added the white. So we'll get the gray in. I'm going to start over here as far away from myself as possible so that I'm not dragging my hands and whatnot through. That is still a bit dark, so I'm just going to grab some more white. Oof. Kind of just let it blend on canvas. And if I need to come back later and fix it, that's fine. If it gets a little streaky, that's also fine. Oof, I have got a lot of black embedded in the bristles of this brush. That's okay. So if you find yourself with just, a color that's too intense, you can always rinse your brush, or you can just offload some of it. All right, it's very streaky, but I think it's going to work. Oh, Mary, you asked, am I canvas or wood? This is a canvas panel. I bought a big old 50 pack of these things for a pretty good price, and it just allows me to get out here and do a whole lot more painting and be able to store these things. I tell you, when you paint this often, you end up with a lot of extra art sitting around. So these are nice because they pack a little smaller. And they're great for experimenting and all those things. Whoops. Well, clearly I grabbed a bit more white in there. We'll blend a bit. Okay. And so again, one of the things that we find with creating art and painting is never judge it by the first coat of paint. In general, when working with acrylics, especially if you're following along and hanging with me, we tend to do things in layers. So be kind and gentle to yourself. Give yourself some grace. Yeah, blending this guy a little bit because it just wasn't quite where I wanted it. Okay, so with this square or flat brush, oh, here we go. I'm actually going to use pull it sideways like that to create a line versus using its full edge or full face. Just kind of drag that branch out like so. All right, getting this guy going here. Do this. Just keep going with that gray. I know that that branch is there, so I'm gonna go over it a little bit. Just getting it filled in. Have to admit, I'm hoping now that the kids have a snow day already declared for tomorrow, that we actually get some weather here in Northern Virginia, and that maybe there's going to be some good sledding. We got some hills near the house that are easy to walk to. That'd be so much fun. Although I don't know, I think it was like supposed to be in the 50s at some point, which would kind of make it all melt off. But we are expecting at least some ice and whatnot. Who knows? So this is our snow day painting. And again, we're just getting those parts and pieces filled in. When my brush gets a little light, I grab some of the gray that I pre-mixed. Sometimes mix it with white, allowing some of that blending to just occur on canvas. If a little bit of streakiness happens, that's okay too. No, we don't have any snow yet, Mary. We're still, it's not supposed to show up until like 3 in the morning or something. It's really the preemptive storms coming in. Do you have snow where you are, Mary? And actually, where are you? Here we go. Okay. So there we are. We've got the basics. Again, pretty streaky. No problem. I love the little bit of a streaky look, so I'm just going to go with it, right? Kentucky. Oh, very cool. Well, I'm glad you could join us here in Northern Virginia. All right. I'm thinking that since I've still got this bird to do, and I also need to add some of the black to the trees, that I'm going to do the black first. And I'm going to do my best to preserve the outline of the bird. But if I don't get it exactly right, that's okay. Because I still have yet to paint in. So it's kind of the approach we'll use here. Okay. So I'm still using that same brush. I've offloaded some of the paint, so it's kind of dry and fluffy now. I'm going to come back into that little bit of black paint that I had, and I will probably need more. But I'm going to kind of impregnate, but also kind of offload the bristles so that it still has that kind of fluffy look to the brush. And again, starting as far away from myself as I can. So I'm sitting right here. And so if I'm reaching across the painting here, I'm far less likely to smear my way through this canvas if I start from far away. So we'll do that. I'll just kind of pick an edge and kind of start to, ooh, I need more paint. Sorry. Let me do that. Kind of get a little bit here and then kind of pull some bristly bits, a little bit along the edges and kind of pull. Now we're going to try not to make this too even because, you know, even doesn't look natural or real. Because if there's one thing you can say about nature is it's random. So just kind of creating some interesting bits along the edges, using the dry brushing bristly bits to your advantage. And I think I'd actually even, we'll see how that goes, but in my sketch I'd kind of put like a little knot, so we'll maybe even just kind of do a slight curl here where there might have been a branch at one time. And coming on this other side, again, real kind of light, airy, brushy looks. Another piece here that maybe comes more across. Keeping the strokes slightly round as you pull them. Whoops. Flatten through the brush a little bit. along the base of that branch. A little bit, and just kind of keep going. All right, so we have a birch. We'll just keep going with that. Now this is, again, still kind of early in the coating. I may need to come back through and make some tweaks, add some highlights, but we're really just kind of working to get some of the base pieces in. So kind of creating a little bit of a darker line along the edges to help differentiate. Because, you know, this gray and the blue, they're very tonal. They kind of hang together. Oh, you didn't get as much rain as expected? Or not rain. Predicted snow. That's what we're talking about. Ugh. Oh, it's been a day. Are you guys scheduled to get any more tonight or anytime soon? All right, I'm just kind of pulling the lines up willy-nilly. Get a little bit more black here. We'll work it into my bristles. Again, this is not a highly saturated brush. I'm trying to keep it light, streaky. Which is funny because, you know, as kids, we're always taught to really fill the brush and get all that paint on there. And then it's like such that aha moment when you realize that there are other ways to do it. All right, I got a branch here, so I need to kind of respect that guy. Maybe a little outline on the bottom, just to kind of help myself keep tabs on it. Okay. And Mr. Cardinal. Keep going, little bits out. All right, so we got a couple of trees going on. Okay, more snow. Is that coming tonight, or is that going to be another day? I mean, ours is at 3 in the morning. Look at this, guys. Isn't that crazy? Just that sort of streaky bits, a dry, funky brush. Every so often, I'm grabbing some more paint from my little tub, offloading some. And so that's another reason why I kind of start with the edge. So that's when I've got a little bit more paint on the brush. And so I feel like instead of having a huge, insane sort of black streak coming into my tree, it's better to just use it to help with the outline. And then it can become a little bit more fluffy as it gets out into the trunk. And this right here looks to me like it wants a knot. It sort of bulges out there. See anywhere else we need a knot? Maybe right here. Again, I'm almost just doing sort of a partial streaky, funky oval. Oh, I love those knots. Those knots really work. And oh, Mary Ann lives out in California. We went to high school together. She is an amazing plein air fine artist. I think she taught me more in that class than our art teacher did. Like, yeah, like she does stunning work. All right, getting a little bits on this branch here. Hi, kitty. Yeah, I'm painting. You don't get to paint. A little bit more black by his head. This is fun. All right, I got this big wonky branch. Doesn't maybe come out quite as naturally as I'd hoped. We'll figure something out for it. We'll mentally come back to that in a little while. Oh, we want a little knot here because it bulges out. I didn't have that many knots in my sketch, but sometimes you just got to kind of look at what you got and see what's developing and work with that. Just kind of have fun. How about you? But it always feels good to get to paint. Let's see. I'm gonna grab another brush here. I missed a spot on a branch. I really missed a branch. Oops. Come back here. Needs more white in there. No problem. So kind of getting that branch that the Cardinal is sitting on, and I'm going to use a lighter white to kind of get some of those pieces back in. Look at my sketch, make sure I remember what I actually planned. A little bit here. Maybe something else coming up. I don't know. That works. So I did just switch to a round brush. So I had the square guy. And I've got a round one just to kind of piece some of those bits in. And then without rinsing my brush, I'm just grabbing some black. Oh, I need more black than that. And I'm hoping that some of the white will kind of blend in a little bit. And this guy may get a couple coats and a couple go rounds to get it quite the way we want it. Just trying to cause some differentiation. There we are. Okay, well that's a good start there. We'll kind of play with it some more. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and rinse the brushes off. Oh, I can offload with all that black. So if this is your first time joining me, I've kind of become crazy about my prospectus. What fund is it? Nutrition and Biosciences from DuPont. Not that it really matters, but it was this huge like newsprint book that they mailed me. And my initial reaction was, I'm just going to throw this in the garbage or the recycle. And then I had this aha moment where I realized it was, like 300 pages of perfectly good self-contained paper I could wipe excess paint on. And then maybe if I get the colors right, I can cut it up and use it in collages and mixed media because, why not? And since I seem to have forgotten to have a paper towel with me, or more likely used it this morning whilst finishing off the Pinewood Derby car with my daughter, I'm just going to use my prospectus to eat the water on that too. Okay, so one of the things that I really advocate for is always having a paper towel available, because after you rinse your paintbrush, you want to make sure that you dry it, because all that extra water getting in your paint when you don't want it in your paint, it's not so great. Okay. Actually, looking at this guy, I'm going to keep going with, we'll do the bird in a minute. I'm going to keep going with the white since I've still got kind of the grays and other colors in it, and we're going to add some highlights to our trees. So with the square guy, it's kind of fluffy. You notice my bristles are all like spread out and funky. Just going to kind of get some highlights kind of in the center. Not quite scrubbing it on, but allowing it to just kind of place it. So they're not much in the way of traditional brush strokes here. Just more trying to place kind of a highlight in a lighter spot. And that helps, give the sense of roundness to these objects, because trees are kind of barrel shaped or cylindrical with a few lumps and bumps. So we'll get some of those highlights just in now so I don't forget later. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'll do a painting and I'll feel like I'm mostly done. Turn off the camera and they'll be like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. Oh, what about this? So I'm going to use my oh, what about that moment right now and do it on camera for you. Oopsie, let's get back. Here we go. And so I didn't really use much in the way of reference for this guy. I did Google some cardinals just to kind of remember how to get them accurately, and just kind of did a hand sketch. But you know, these trees like this, the birch trees, you can really just kind of sketch semi straight, semi wavy lines up, add some branches, just kind of make it up as you go and call it good. So what's fun about this is it's pretty loose and doesn't require a ton of drawing skills, especially to do the trees. Now the bird, you could even do an angry bird on this guy if you wanted. It could be like a round guy with a funky tail, and it would still be super cute. And so, you know, if you're like, well, I don't like your bird and I want to do something else, well, hey, copy the style for the birch trees, and then do your own thing in foreground. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about that. I may do some tweaking, you know, as we go, but it's worked out pretty well so far. All right, I'm going to grab a red. I am personally using the Blick acrylic. That's what it is. Blick acrylic magenta. It's really just a nice, cool red tone. I could also use some of the DecoArt Americana paints. Hopefully this guy will do the thing, but I do like the color on this. It's pretty rich. I didn't bother to rinse my brush. It's still kind of ugly, funky, yucky. No biggie. Just going to grab some of that red, and we're going to do a base kind of fill in on Mr. Cardinal here. I'm going to try to avoid the beak though. Okay. And the reason I didn't rinse the brush, and I'm allowing a little bit of that blackout, titanium white to stay in the brush, is it will add some opacity and coverage, and it'll make that second coat a little easier. So just kind of line in and some swooshes there for the tail. So he's looking a little pink. I promise we won't leave him looking pink. We are just trying to get the base in there. The stuff around his face is going to be kind of black, maybe with an orangey yellowy beak. Okay, I'm going to rotate this so I can get to his head. Well, it's sideways for you. Okay. Kind of the crest. And at some point I will size down and use a smaller brush, but since we're still just kind of getting basic coverage, and I feel like I've got reasonably good dexterity with this particular brush, even though it's a cheapy funky guy, I'll just stick with it. And got a little something off his head. If I'm not careful, he's going to look like a cockatiel instead of a cardinal, but that's okay. We're happy. Oh, look at that red. That's so fun. That is really fun. I'm going to rotate him around again so I can kind of see, make sure I'm seeing it right. Sometimes these can get a little bit abstracted, so you see shapes instead of an actual bird, which is oftentimes a really cool trick to help make creating something easier and help you get outside your head. Is to turn a thing upside down or sideways, so it kind of abstracts the thing. Although right now, since I'm just trying to make sure I actually see what I got, upright is helpful too. Okay. Just adding that intensity there into the tail feathers, allowing them to be a little bit squared off at the bottom. Okay, and a good base coat. And now we will add, I'm going to just keep going with the white. So I have this white, it's kind of used up and funky. Just going to grab some to add a little bit of kind of highlight in a few spots, a little bit of lightness. We'll probably continue to add highlights and other things, but you know, you look at a bird and you see red, but it's in fact so kind of not really red. It's got so many other things going on. Oh, apparently we have some blue in there too. All right, girl. Yeah, I make mistakes all the darn time, and it's okay. All right, well, there we go. Oh, I do have some brown. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit of, what is this? Burnt umber. Shake it out. Now, whenever you're getting into paint, do yourself a favor and shake it. Because quite often it starts to separate. So you get almost a sort of clear gel medium type of thing. And then the pigment. And you also just don't want paint boogers, which happens. So I have this brown. On camera, it looks almost black, but it really is brown. Gonna pull some of that over here and just grab a hunk of red and kind of mix it in. I love burnt umber. It makes nice kind of shading, and it's one of those kind of fine art colors that is very versatile. So shifting this guy a little bit, I'm gonna add some of the darkness kind of underneath his belly. A little bit more brown to it. Okay. Just kind of mixing. Along his breast a bit, because you know, this is obviously a boy cardinal, because girl cardinals have all kinds of other colors going on. And let's see, I think we've got kind of a wing going here, so get a little bit streaky. Whoopsies. Okay. Had just a little too much paint happening. Just kind of some dabbing. A little bit of that brown in kind of the undersection here. Pulling it down inside the feathers. Under his little bottom or whatever that is. I'm sure there's special words for bird parts. I don't know what they are. We'll get a little bit of that browny color kind of up his crest a little bit. Along the back of his head, because why not? And around his beak. I probably need to switch brushes pretty soon, but it's fine. Just kind of going with it. I feel like he's a pretty cool tone bird. I might, in fact, want to add a little bit of yellow. We'll see how that goes. Have it available. Whoop. I'm going to offload some paint from my brush to kind of dry my bristles a little. And come back in with some of that red again. Let me turn him sideways so I can see what we got going on here. There we go. So we're trying to be mindful of the brush strokes that we're taking. So we have this sort of wing section right here, and then the belly. And because the feathers tend to kind of go in this direction, we want the strokes to kind of follow the flow of his body. If we get, you know, too every which way with our strokes, then it becomes distracting, I think is a good term for it. All right, I'm ready to switch brushes. This guy's getting to me a little bit. So go ahead and rinse him off. Now, just because I'm hanging up this brush for a while and rinsing him solidly in my paint rinse does not mean that brush is good to go. Whenever I turn off the camera and walk away, the first place I go is I head straight to the kitchen to rinse my brushes and wash them with soap and water. So the trick to that is you squeeze a little soap in the palm of your hand and I usually use like a liquid soap or a little bit of water, and then you really kind of work and clean and massage the brushes, and that helps get some of the paint out of the ferrules. Because you notice I've just rinsed this guy. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. But there's still a lot of pigment like right at the bristles in the metal part. So you really do want to try and take care of your brushes best effort. So he's good enough for the next 20 minutes, but not good enough to put away. All right, we'll give him some black beady eyes. Bloop, bloop. I'm just going with straight black to get those filled in. We'll come in with some highlights in a little while. Oh yeah, beady eyes. Yeah, baby. Gotta remember to get his legs. So one will be coming out from the front of the body. So I'm gonna get a little bit into the red. This is super thick and gooey stuff. And then kind of wrap those claws right around that branch there. Whoopsie, that's okay. A little bit messy. And the second leg, since it's coming from behind his body, slightly in the background, we're gonna make it start right at the edge of the red. Yeah, you can see that. Just kind of bring it out. And then have him grabbing the branch. Well, it's a little rough. We have a sense of like kind of his anatomy and what he's doing there. A little bit more. There we go. Again, these are some base coats here. There will be more going on. Let's get his beak. I think his beak might supposed to be yellow. But they do have this kind of black beardy thing that comes down, and I think a little bit of black that goes up around the beak. So I'm convinced, because I'm a mom, we watch Angry Birds, that the red Angry Bird is probably a cardinal. I didn't really realize that until I started drawing this guy, and I was like, if I got too cartoony, he's gonna look like Angry Bird. Okay. Not bad. Go ahead and rinse the brush a little bit. Got my my brown and my yellow here, so I'm gonna grab some yellow. Yellow drives me crazy because it's always so transparent. So I'm gonna squeeze some more white onto my palette. And I'm running out of mixing spots, but I think I'll pick a spot right kind of here. It's a little empty place. Throw some yellow down. And I'm, for the most part, just using craft paints here, keeping it very, very simple. Grabbing a little bit of that white to mix in. It will slightly lighten the color, but it will also add a lot of sort of thickness so that it's not like a yellow wash anymore. And just for fun, I'm going to add some brown. And I'm going to do it kind of over here off to the side while I mix. Maybe grab a smidge of my red in there too. That way I've got some color options to work with. Well, it looks very orange on camera. It does not look that orange in real life. So starting with a brighter yellow, and I have not taken the brown off, and that kind of mix, which is fine. It's going to blend on canvas. Yeah, you can see that. Just adding kind of the yellow for his beak. I'm going to reach in and grab some of that more browny orangey color and kind of come down under. Letting it blend a little bit in. And maybe some straight brown to kind of get underneath. Add a little bit more dimension to that guy. Allowing it to blend in. And I'm doing this all with wet paint as I go from color to color, so that they do blend together. So if you want to layer things and you don't want blending, you have to wait for your paint to dry. However, if you want your stuff to blend and you want to be able to kind of work it and whatever, then you have to do all these layers while they're wet. So let that dry a little bit. See if I can add a touch more yellow kind of to the, and now I'm grabbing pure yellow that has not been mixed with white or anything else. It's either a primary or a cadmium, I'm not sure. But because I have some of that yellow underneath, I can kind of layer this on, and if it's a little see-through, it'll just pick up what's underneath. Just a little bit more yellow there. Okay. Offload, offload, offload. Grabbing some of that sort of orangey tone again that I used on the lower portion of the beak. Gonna kind of pull some of that along the tops of his legs. And it's okay if the black shows through. The black is like a kind of an undercoat. And we'll get his little toesies. Bloop. So I don't know how many of you have been exposed like real close up to cardinals, but I'm a cat mom, and my cat brought, bless his heart, he brought a cardinal into the house the other day. And it like got freaked out and it was under my daughter's bed, and I had to fish that cardinal out. And then I had to kind of transport him out. So I picked him up and had him in my hand, and he just, those guys, they have lockjaw. He gripped onto my finger right here so tight. Oh, it hurt so much. But I was like, all right, I got to save this guy. I got to get him outside. So I'm grabbing just some pure brown and kind of going over the darker spots on the underside of the bird legs, bird claws. So anyways, yeah, I get this cardinal outside, and he still just got lockjaw on me. Like he's like, if I'm going down, I'm taking you down with me. Gosh darn it. I finally get to a bush, and I'm like, go, be free. And he's like, no. Just held on and held on. Oh, it was awful. I finally kind of shook him off, just like, oh, go away, go away, go away. And he went off into this thing. But I was like, wow, cardinals are mean jerks. I mean, okay, he was scared. I'm trying to save him. But he was mean. So now I'm adding a little bit more sort of the browny red to the underside. This guy is very, very red, and that's a great base. But now we want to kind of tone him down and make him a little bit more realistic, a little bit more earth tony. So I didn't rinse my brush. I just kind of took the one that had been in the brown and those yellows and just dipped into the red a little bit here. I feel like his face is still pretty rough, but overall, and especially from far away, he's kind of coming out cute. And we still have to add the highlights to his eyes so they look all beady. Maybe some yellow to his eyes. All right, girl, stay focused. Stay focused. So yes, that was my encounter with a mean bird. The angry bird. I tell you, he really was. Okay, so I want the wing to kind of do this. All right, so now thinking about the wings. So again, I'm not looking at a picture, so I don't really have a good reference for how to how to do a wing exactly. So I do a little bit of making things up as we go. But I think since there is a little bit of wing kind of on the other side of his breast, I'm using some of the brown to define his belly or breast, and I'm also kind of creating these feather-like, brush strokes to help show that there. And then usually they kind of come to a point along the tail, and then the feathers stick out from there. Just kind of adding some more darker deep tone details. It's coming together pretty good. All right, we'll see about some yellow to his eyes. Oh, I hope I don't mess this up too bad. Well, it helps. It's a little bit bright and a little bit freaky. Oh yeah, he's got freaky yellow googly eyes. We like that. Secretly. I add a little bit of brown to kind of tone that down. But I do like a little bit of that brighter yellow peeking out. So the yellow I used on his eyes to make them pop was the yellow white mix. Oh, thank you, Mary. He's kind of coming out fun. He's a little less whimsical than my Sunny Funny Birdie, which I did. Was it last week? I don't even know. All right. Now didn't rinse my brush. Gonna use some of that to just kind of get the comb and smooth it up a little bit. Whoop. going to attempt, we'll see how this goes. Get a little bit of a couple of highlights on his comb. Got to turn this guy so I can kind of get him. A little bit of highlight on his back. So these are light, kind of almost fluffy strokes with the round brush. Just a couple bits here and there in the feather or in the wing, almost allowing just the tip of that brush, the very fluffy tip, to just kiss the canvas. Not much more than that. Little bits of extra highlighting in the tips of the tails where parts of it might be exposed to more light. Try not to overwork the paint. That's one of those things that's so easy to do, overworking the paint. And I think this yellow is still wet. I'm going to get a little highlight on his beak. See if I can add a dot to his eyes. Maybe just the lights like that. Okay, just a little dab. So he's kind of coming together. Maybe a little bit of a creepy angry bird, but you know, it's kind of happening there. And just a smidge. That's not exactly. There we go. Yeah. And then I think, yeah, so what I'm doing here on the outside of the breast, I'm blending a red and white to kind of make, you know, so he has the breast and then he has kind of the wing that comes around, and it's almost like you can see their two little elbows. So just trying to get that little. So we'll even make a more reference. So I have my brush. It was in the white. Added some red to it. Just going to kind of, there, some more. Try not to overdo it too much. It's so easy to overdo something when you just keep working it. Okay, so I offloaded to get rid of some of that white, grabbing some more of the red. And again, I realize that we've come back and we've reworked this red a few times. Luckily, what we have also done is we've allowed some of those layers to dry a little bit so that we can layer and can get a little bit of depth and interest happening here. So smidge more white, smidge more red. I want to just smooth the head a little bit. A little bit more highlight kind of right down the center between his eyes. Either side of the, there we go. The eyeballs and the thing above his nose that's black. I don't know what it's called. I am liking, oddly enough, sort of this pinkish tone because I don't think it really makes it look so pink as much as highlighted. All right. Oh, I was like, what is that thing? That's a branch. Okay. So I think we're pretty close to done. We could potentially, in fact, yeah, why not? To make this branch pop just a smidge more, I'm going to see about mixing some white that has a smidge of yellow in it, tiny touch of brown. So that should make it slightly less white, but kind of warm it up so that it doesn't appear to be the exact same as the trees. Maybe that's working, maybe it's not. Maybe we'll go with pure white. Pink. And then do some black. I don't know. It's not quite popping the way I want it to. It's one of those things I'll sleep on it and come back and be like, aha, here's what we got to do. So I'm going to make it more contrasty. A little bit more black to the bottom there. Yeah, that's what we needed, the black. So I'm using the very tippiest tip of this guy. And it's very small, short strokes. A little bit there. Yeah, a couple lumps to make it interesting and stick-like. Maybe a few wispy bits coming off. And then we want just a smidge of shadow, kind of where his, oh, not quite like that. A little bit more shadowy kind of colors where his claws are. Yeah, that's good enough. I could rework this sucker all day long. I don't know about the rest of you, but I gotta go get some dinner soon. And maybe it's just a smidge more black. Right along the top here. There we go. Yep. Yeah, that helps kind of differentiate so that it doesn't look like it's part of the other trees. So I'm lucky. This guy, for some reason, has got 1 or 2 bristles that stick way out and make it super easy to get these feather-light tiny streaks. That's kind of one of my medium to low end brushes. Every once in a while I get really lucky with those. Clean up his face just a smidge. Smooth. Smooth. All right, so there you have it. Let's see. So if I can swap. Oh. For a minute, I thought I threw a tub of paint on the ground. That would be so Wendy. What can I say? All right. Let's go ahead and swap these out. Where is it? Come on, mouse. All right, bink. There we are. Okay. And so here we are with our lovely cardinal. Kind of fun, slightly cartoony on Birch. It's our snow day picture. I hope you had fun. I had fun. And don't forget to catch the replay. I've also posted this live to YouTube, to the Blue Cat Studio Let's Paint group, as well as the Blue Cat page. So hopefully if you want to share it, show it off to any of your friends, have someone else join you in creating this painting, there's all kinds of ways where you can find it. All right, have a great night, and we'll see you again. Bye.